Welcome back to more Mario Power Tennis. Last time we won the World Open, so this time we're continuing through the tournament mode. Last time we played as Mario, so let's mix things up and play as Princess Peach, once again in singles. Next up is the Gimmick Masters, starting with the Fire Cup. First up is Princess Daisy, on the Donkey Kong Jungle Court. As the name implies, for the Gimmick Masters, each match takes place on a different court that has a unique gimmick. For this one, you have clap traps on the net. If you hit them with the ball, they'll go to your opponent's side and try to slow them down, and vice versa. If you lob the ball onto the lightning space, it'll get rid of all of the clap traps on your side. So it's a very interesting mechanic. Overall, this shouldn't be too difficult. Once again, this being a fairly early cup, it shouldn't be too difficult, and we're once again back to the one set rule for this. I do like how Lakitu has a bunch of electricity to deal with the clap traps to basically explain how this whole mechanic works. Again, it's very clever, a lot of the background details, and we actually have Kremlings in the background too, which are characters that kind of disappeared after a certain point in this franchise. Next up is Bowser on the Luigi's Mansion Court. One thing worth mentioning is the tournament modes have unique music compared to the exhibition matches. So for example, obviously this tune is very upbeat, but obviously would be a little bit spookier if you're playing not in tournament mode. You have various spaces around the court that'll release ghosts. If you hit the lightning bulb space, it will get rid of all the ghosts on your side. So again, a very interesting mechanic, though it's very comparable to the previous one, just with a Luigi's Mansion skin. But again, a lot of this game just feels so undeniably GameCube that I really love this, to be honest. Again, it's not overly challenging or unique, but again, it has so much charm of this era of Mario. It's getting really crowded on this side, but luckily we were able to hit the light bulb to get rid of all the ghosts. And we're already at match point for the second match, so overall this is going very smoothly so far as we move on to the final match. It is interesting how easy the Gimmick Cups tend to be. I would think they'd be a little bit tougher than that. Finally, we have Diddy Kong in Rico Harbor. This course is really annoying for obvious reasons. Basically, when you hit the arrows, it'll cause the panels to move in those directions, giving you less or more room to actually lob the ball. This can be very annoying because if it hits the water, it counts as out of bounds, so make sure to keep all the panels extended as much as possible. The order for these cups, or these matches, are kind of random, so I was kind of hoping to get this not on a 3 set, because that's a long time to have to put up with this mechanic. But again, given how Sunshine's involvement in the franchise kind of dropped off after a certain point, it is really refreshing seeing Sunshine representation in a court like this. Again, a lot of the Mario series has kind of moved away from this particular aesthetic, which is kind of a shame, though again, this is coming from someone who grew up with the GameCube era of Mario and frankly Nintendo in general, so maybe I'm biased on this as well. Again, a lot of the series kind of doesn't act like Sunshine exists, basically, for lack of a better way to put that. But basically, I feel like other than Piantas in like Galaxy 2, or maybe some other cameos in like the background of a Mario Kart stage, you really don't see much direct referencing to Sunshine after the Wii era especially, which is kind of a shame. I definitely feel like that would help with some of the stagnation, not only with the tennis and sports games in general, but also with the wider series. Obviously, you have Paper Mario as a really big example of that. I almost feel like having Piantas, for example, an established species in the series, appear in a Paper Mario game beyond Rogue Port would help with some of the overuse of, like, Shy Guys, for example. And again, the Mario series in general feels like it struggles a lot with that, where I kind of wish even with certain restrictions in place for the spin-off games, there are ways around this that they tend to not utilize, and I feel like it's kind of a shame that they never do, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know what I expected from that, to be honest. I definitely should have not lobbed it to the right side of Diddy's court there. I do like how Toadsworth's little seat is also one of the little lifts from Rico Harbor. So again, thematically, I love the stage. In terms of gameplay, it's kind of a pain, so I have slightly mixed feelings on it, but overall this is still going pretty well. And I do like how the bloopers have their Sunshine design specifically, because again, Sunshine has such esoteric character designs compared to like any other Mario game. A lot of them just stand out a lot, because they look so, I guess, off-model, for lack of a better way to put it. But that was the final match, or final round of the first Gimmick Cup, so that went pretty smoothly, all things considered. And to kick off the Thunder Cup, we're going from one location in Delfino to another with Delfino Plaza. The gimmick of this is we have the Goop Piranhas. I forget their official name, or if they even have one. A lot of enemies in Sunshine actually don't, to be honest. But every time the ball hits one of the spaces, the Goop Piranhas will jump out and spit goop on that particular spot. You have these little flood switches along the sides of, or along the middle of the court that will cause the flood units along the sides to basically clear up the goop in that spot. So again, very clever implementation of gameplay mechanics from Sunshine into a tennis game of all things. In general, the Gimmick Cups are kind of mixed in my opinion. Some of them are very clever, a lot of them are also very annoying at the same time. But then again, I almost feel like this is a case like Mario Kart, where I don't take it too seriously given that it is kind of random and less predictable, and that's kind of part of the fun. These are just designed to be fun, not necessarily for like competitive play. Next up, we have Waluigi in Wario's Factory. For this one, the gimmick is hitting the arrows that will cause the colored sections corresponding to each area to move. So for example, if we hit a red arrow going right, the platform in that case will stop moving because it was already moving to the left. This court is obviously very annoying, potentially, depending on who you're playing against. It can be very unwieldy trying to even reach the ball, so I'm really glad we're fighting Waluigi, who's a defensive character and not a tricky character like Bowser Jr. For defensive characters, obviously, they have a lot more reach, so that counts characters like Waluigi and Wiggler, if I'm not mistaken, who's actually one of the unlockable characters. So to quickly touch upon that, for the World Open mode, if you win in singles, you'll unlock Fly Guy, and in doubles, you'll unlock Paratrooper. We also have several unlocks for the Gimmick Masters as well. For example, in doubles, if you win... Actually, no, this is for the regular mode. If you win the Fire Cup in doubles, you'll actually unlock... Or the Flower Cup in doubles, you'll actually unlock a slight change to Yoshi's defensive special, which we'll be seeing later on. But for the Gimmick Masters in singles, you unlock Wiggler, and in doubles, you'll unlock PD Piranha. You also have several courts to unlock as well. There's a Bowser's Castle court that's unlocked by winning any of the tournaments in singles, and there's also a Mario Bros. Arcade-themed court that's unlocked by winning the Fire Cup in doubles. There are a couple more unlockables worth mentioning, but we'll save that for another time. Overall, this is going very smoothly, which I'm very surprised at, given that I was looking off to the side at notes the entire time to try to remember what's unlocked when. There's also several special mini-games as well that are unlocked by basically playing through various aspects of the main game, but again, we'll save that for another time. Again, this is going remarkably well, given the combination of a defensive character on this unwieldy court. I do like how we have Bob-omb buddies off to the side, which are the red Bob-ombs, so in some adaptations they're actually pink instead. Again, they're characters that don't really appear much outside of specific, like, nostalgia-centered areas, like Bob-omb... not Bob-omb Battlefield, Womp's Fortress from Mario Galaxy 2, for example. Yeah, that went very well, given that I wasn't entirely paying attention. That definitely could have gone extremely south at a moment's notice, so I'm glad that things went as smoothly as they did. Our final opponent for the Gimmick Masters is Diddy Kong on the Bowser Castle court. As you can tell, this one tilts with your movement, making it very hard to return the ball in some cases. In doubles, the final court would be the Mario Bros. Court, which I honestly think is actually more annoying. We'll actually go over that in the exhibition mode after we're done with all the tournaments, because it is worth showing off, even though I think the court is also a bit of a headache. It's also worth mentioning that playing each court one time, tournament mode included, will also unlock a standard version of that court. So for example, if you like the aesthetic of having, Mecha Bowser from Peanut Park in the background, along with like Kamek and Mecha Koopa's Mario World, but don't want to deal with the tilting, you can just play it like a standard court, if you just want it for the visual qualities of it. I know it's a tall ask, but I kind of wish the fire along the sides of the net would actually matter. Like, it'd be funny if the ball could actually catch on fire, though again, mechanically that would be kind of a lot to include for just one court out of the entire game. I'm hitting the ball out a lot, and that's because of all the tilting. Basically, I tend to aim for the sides, and I have to be a lot more careful when aiming for the sides, because I also have to pay attention to how I'm actually moving the court there. That worked out very well in that case, so that takes care of set 1. Truth be told, I kind of spaced out what this game's rule set is, if it's a 5 set or a 3 set. It's the final one, but in general, the Gimmick Cup is a lot shorter, and frankly, it's surprisingly easy. But again, it's actually unlocked at the same time by default as the other cup, the World Open, so I feel like you could tackle either of these in any order, so as a result, the difficulty is scaled to be relatively comparable between this and like the Flower Cup, which is, again, kind of nice in some ways, and also kind of like I wish it scaled a little bit more, because it is, but I guess on one hand it is inherently harder just because of all the gimmicks at play in this particular stage, so it kind of evens out in some ways, though I say that while I'm absolutely destroying Diddy Kong here. I do like how Diddy Kong uses his tail to actually serve the ball. It's a very nice detail. Again, they've injected so much personality into a lot of these characters. So though it's worth mentioning, that's something I always wondered, and this was before the age of like Google being a readily available resource. In the opening cutscene at the leaderboard, when they're marking up Mario and Luigi's photos, Toad and Toadette are actually pictured on the leaderboard, and I've never been able to find anything actually on if they were like cut characters, or if that was just for the opening, or like even planned at all. Like, I haven't really looked into like data mining or like beta builds enough to actually know if that was actually a planned thing that was cut, or if there was some other reason for that, like just kind of a throwaway thing because they needed an extra team. Here's Diddy's special, by the way. It arcs the ball like a banana like so, and also causes you to spin out, which isn't great. We're definitely in trouble here, but luckily Diddy actually lobbed it towards us at one point, so we were able to salvage it without too much trouble and finish off that round there. And yeah, we still have one more set to go after this, it looks like, so it looks like it might be a 5-set. But luckily, this has actually been going very smoothly so far, other than knocking the ball out constantly, so this shouldn't be too much trouble. In general, I do like these courts. A lot of them do have Easter eggs, like for example, I've actually never really paid attention to this, but apparently you can actually spot Bowser's Castle from Super Mario RPG in the background of this particular court, which is a nice detail, nice callback. Again, it's kind of odd how a lot of times the Mario sports games end up actually referencing the RPGs more so than the main series. So for example, Mario Party 5 is like the only other appearance of the Star Spirits from Paper Mario 1, which is always odd. It was always weird playing those in reverse order and being like, oh, it's the Star Spirits from Mario Party 5, which is definitely not the traditional response to seeing the Star Spirits in Mario, or Paper Mario for the first time. We are not doing great on this particular set, so we'll definitely have to be a little bit more careful here as we try to tie it up and then get to an advantage state to win this particular game. Again, this tilting is way more trippy than you might expect, to be honest. It can definitely be a little bit much to get used to. I also don't think we've used Peach's offensive special at all, so we'll try to squeeze that in at some point. I've mostly been using the defensive special because I've been botching a lot of returns in this particular round. Luckily, Diddy didn't use a special there, so we're entering the final set here. See if we can take care of this without too much trouble here. The one problem with defensive specials is they often, in most cases, they'll take you to the ball rather than the ball to you, so it can definitely put you at a disadvantage stage depending on where you happen to be standing and where the ball is, so they kind of leave you open, is what I'm trying to say. Let's actually use the special just to show it off. Again, if the opponent returns it, they'll get hearts that'll draw them towards the net, which can definitely throw them off. In that case, Diddy lobbed it, which was the correct call on his part, but I definitely was not ready to actually deal with that. And we're at championship point for the Thunder Cup, so let's finish this off. Overall, that was a slightly anticlimactic finish, given how tough the rest of this was, but actually the credits and ending image are the same, so I'm actually going to sign off here. So thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for more Mario Power Tennis.
Look out!